Before the empires, before the books, before the rise and fall of civilizations, there was a man born in the desert sands of Arabia, a man whose name echoes in billions of hearts every single day, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But how much do we truly know about him? In this script, we'll uncover 100 astonishing facts about the final messenger, facts that even lifelong Muslims might not know. Fact 1. He was prophesied in earlier scriptures. Many Islamic scholars believe that Prophet Muhammad is mentioned in previous holy books, including the Torah and the Gospel. In the Bible's book of Deuteronomy, 18:18, there is a reference to a prophet like Moses, which Muslims interpret as a foretelling of Muhammad. Even the Gospel of John refers to the coming of a comforter or paraclete, which early Muslim commentators identified with the prophet. These references hint that his mission was long awaited, not only by the Arabs, but by the people of the book too. Fact 2, he was born an orphan. Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, was born in the year 570 CE in Mecca. His father, Abdullah, died before he was born, and his mother, Amina, passed away when he was just 6. From a very young age, he was acquainted with loss, grief, and resilience. Raised first by his grandfather Abdul Muttalib and then by his uncle Abu Talib, the Prophet's early life was shaped by hardship and compassion. Fact 3. His name means the praised one. The name Muhammad comes from the Arabic root HMD, which means praise. It literally translates to the praised one. It is said that no one had this name before him. It was as if his name itself was divinely chosen to reflect his future legacy. Today, Muhammad is the most common name in the world. Fact 4. He never learned to read or write. Though he brought a book that transformed the world, Prophet Muhammad was illiterate. He couldn't read or write. This fact is mentioned in the Quran itself, 7157, highlighting the miraculous nature of the revelation. He recited the verses as revealed by Angel Gabriel, and his companions memorized and later documented them. His illiteracy became a powerful sign of the divine source of his message. Fact 5. He was known as Al-Amin. Even before prophethood, Muhammad was known among the Meccans as Al-Amin, the trustworthy. People entrusted him with their wealth, secrets, and disputes. Even those who later opposed him admitted his honesty. His integrity was so unshakable that during times of conflict he was called upon to mediate. Trust wasn't just a trait he taught, it was how he lived. Fact 6. He lived a life of simplicity. Despite being offered wealth, kingship, and luxury, Prophet Muhammad chose a life of humility and simplicity. He often slept on a mat, ate plain food, and patched his own clothes. A visitor once entered his home and wept seeing the bareness of his quarters. The Prophet replied, "What have I to do with this world? I am like a traveler resting under the shade of a tree and then moving on." Fact 7. He adopted a freed slave as his son. Zayd ibn Haritha, once a slave, was freed by the Prophet and loved so deeply that he became known as Zayd ibn Muhammad, until a Quranic verse instructed against naming children after adoptive parents. Zayd's story is one of the earliest examples of Islam's commitment to human equality, regardless of race or status. Fact 8. He forgave the people who tried to kill him. After the conquest of Mecca, the Prophet had the chance to take revenge on those who tortured, exiled, and plotted to kill him. Instead, he stood before them and said, "Go, for you are free." His forgiveness stunned even his enemies, and many of them entered Islam that day. His mercy wasn't weakness, it was strength of the highest order. Fact 9. He cried for us. One night, the Prophet wept during prayer. When asked why, he replied, "My ummah, my ummah." He was shown his followers, including those yet to be born, and he begged Allah to forgive them. His love wasn't limited to those around him, it transcended time. Every act of kindness, every prayer, every teaching, he did it for us. Fact 10. He was a loving husband and father. In a time when women were often neglected, the Prophet treated his wives with love, respect, and gentleness. He helped with household chores, joked with them, and listened with care. To his daughter Fatima, he would stand up when she entered and kiss her on the forehead. His example as a family man is one of the most touching aspects of his legacy. Fact 11. He established the first constitution. In Medina, the Prophet laid down what is now considered the first written constitution in history, the Constitution of Medina. It granted rights and protections to all citizens, including Jews and non-Muslims. It set rules for justice, religious freedom, and mutual defense. This groundbreaking document was centuries ahead of its time, showing the Prophet's deep wisdom in governance and coexistence. Fact 12. He taught that racism is a sin. Long before civil rights movements, Prophet Muhammad declared that no Arab is superior to a non-Arab and no white is superior to a black, except by piety and good actions. In his final sermon, he shattered tribalism and racism, calling humanity one family under God. His companion Bilal, a former African slave, was honored with the call to prayer, a symbol of equality still remembered today. Fact 13. He prayed for his enemies. In Taif, when he was rejected, mocked and stoned until his feet bled, the Prophet didn't curse his attackers. Instead, he raised his hands and prayed for their guidance. Even when the angel of the mountains offered to crush the city, he refused. He said, "Perhaps their children will believe." His mercy wasn't reserved for friends. It extended even to those who hurt him most. Fact 14. He encouraged environmental protection. Prophet Muhammad was centuries ahead in environmental teachings. He forbade the cutting of trees in war, encouraged planting, and warned against wasting water, even when using a flowing river. He said, "If a Muslim plants a tree or sows seeds, and a bird or person or animal eats from it, it is a charity for him." He lived in harmony with nature, a lesson the modern world is still learning. Fact 15. He taught animal rights. One of the earliest voices for animal welfare was Prophet Muhammad. He taught that animals should be treated kindly, never overburdened or harmed without cause. He told the story of a woman punished for locking up a cat and another forgiven for giving water to a thirsty dog. His compassion wasn't just for people. It extended to all living beings. Fact 16. He smiled often. Contrary to how some may portray him, the Prophet was known for his gentle smile and warm demeanor. His companion Abdullah ibn Harith said, "I never saw anyone smile more than the Messenger of Allah." His smile lit hearts, softened enemies, and welcomed the poor and rich alike. It was part of his mercy, simple, disarming, and sincere. Fact 17. He gave women unprecedented rights. In 7th century Arabia, women had few rights. Islam, under Muhammad's leadership, revolutionized their status. Women were given the right to inherit, own property, receive education, and choose whom to marry. The Prophet said, "The best of you is the one who is best to his wife." His teachings honored women as mothers, daughters, and believers, equal in spirituality and responsibility. Fact 18. He shared everything he had. The Prophet never hoarded wealth. Whenever he received gifts or wealth, he would distribute them among the poor and needy, keeping little for himself. His home was often empty of food, yet he gave without hesitation. Once he said, "If I had gold equal to Mount Uhud, I would not rest until I gave it all away." Generosity wasn't a deed for him. It was a way of life. Fact 19. He made time for children. Prophet Muhammad would kneel to hug children, carry them on his shoulders, and shorten prayers when he heard a baby crying. He greeted kids with affection and playfulness, making them feel seen and valued. A boy once said, "The Prophet gave me a nickname and played with me. I never forgot it." In a world where children were often ignored, he lifted them up. Fact 20. He lived the Quran. When asked about the character of Prophet Muhammad, Aisha, R.A., his beloved wife, said, "His character was the Quran." He didn't just preach the message, he embodied it. Patience, truth, humility, justice, mercy. He lived every verse. Through his actions, the world saw the Quran in motion. He was the walking, breathing example of divine revelation. Fact 21. He taught that smiling is a charity. In a world where grand gestures are often praised, Prophet Muhammad taught that even a smile is an act of charity. He said, "Your smile for your brother is charity." This simple teaching transformed the way people viewed kindness. To him, good deeds weren't limited to wealth. They included warmth, friendliness, and small daily acts of love that brightened someone's day. Fact 22. He revolutionized funeral rites. Before Islam, the rituals surrounding death were often rooted in superstition and inequality. Prophet Muhammad introduced dignified, simple, and equal funeral rites. Whether rich or poor, all were to be buried the same, with respect and prayers. He personally participated in funerals, comforted grieving families, and reminded others of the brevity of life, teaching that humility should follow us even in death. Fact 23. He was a strategic genius in peace and war. While known for his mercy, Prophet Muhammad was also a brilliant strategist and negotiator. From the Treaty of Hudaybiyah to the peaceful conquest of Mecca, he used diplomacy, patience, and long-term vision to achieve peace with minimal bloodshed. Even in battle, he forbade harming civilians, destroying crops, or attacking without warning, centuries ahead of modern war ethics. Fact 24. He balanced worship and work. He never separated faith from daily life. The Prophet encouraged people to pray, but also to work hard, be productive, and contribute. He once said, "If the day of judgment comes while you have a seed in your hand, plant it." He personally worked, traded, served, and prayed, showing that true faith lives both in mosques and in marketplaces. Fact 25. He fasted regularly beyond Ramadan. While Ramadan is the month of obligatory fasting, Prophet Muhammad would also fast on Mondays and Thursdays, saying that deeds are presented to Allah on those days. He fasted on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of each lunar month and the day of Ashura, reviving traditions of earlier prophets. His discipline with food and his spiritual routines taught balance and self-control. Fact 26. He honored neighbors regardless of faith. The Prophet taught that a neighbor has rights even if they aren't Muslim. He once said, "By Allah, he is not a believer whose neighbor is not safe from his harm." When a Jewish neighbor passed away, he stood in respect. His companions asked why. He said, "Was he not a soul?" His example taught that community is built on kindness, not creed. Fact 27. He was the final messenger in a long line of prophets. Muslims believe Prophet Muhammad is Khatam an-Nabiyyin, the seal of the prophets. He came as the final messenger after a long chain of prophets, including Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, peace be upon them all. His mission was not to erase their messages, but to complete and unify them under one divine revelation, the Quran. Fact 28. He mourned for his sons who passed away. Out of 7 children, only one, Fatima, survived him. His sons Qasim, Abdullah, and Ibrahim all passed away young. When Ibrahim died in his arms, he wept and said, "The eyes shed tears, and the heart is grieved. But we do not say except what pleases our Lord." Even in sorrow, his trust in Allah remained unshaken, and his grief made him more human to us all. Fact 29. He experienced a miraculous night journey. One of the most stunning events in his life was Al-Isra wal Miraj, the night journey and ascension. In a single night, he was taken from Mecca to Jerusalem and then up through the heavens, meeting previous prophets and witnessing the wonders of the divine realm. He returned with the gift of prayer, a spiritual connection that Muslims uphold 5 times a day. Fact 30. He welcomed questions, even difficult ones. The Prophet's companions often asked him hard questions about life, death, faith, and personal matters, and he always responded with patience, clarity, and kindness. He never mocked a questioner or shamed someone for ignorance. In fact, he encouraged inquiry, saying, "The cure for ignorance is to ask." His openness laid the foundation for Islam's intellectual tradition. Fact 31. He had a deep love for his companions. The Prophet didn't treat his companions like followers, he treated them like family. He loved Abu Bakr for his loyalty, Umar for his strength, Uthman for his modesty, and Ali for his courage. He would praise their qualities publicly, uplift them privately, and mourn their losses deeply. His bond with his companions was built on trust, respect, and shared faith, an unbreakable spiritual brotherhood. Fact 32, he practiced what he preached. Whether it was kindness to others, humility, prayer, or charity, Prophet Muhammad lived everything he taught. When he instructed others to be gentle, he was already known for his gentleness. When he taught patience, he had endured years of persecution. His life was a mirror of his message, a rare harmony between words and actions. Fact 33, he was known for his cleanliness. Cleanliness is half of faith. He taught, and he embodied it fully. The Prophet bathed regularly, used perfume, trimmed his nails and cleaned his teeth with a miswak, natural toothbrush, multiple times a day. He wore clean clothes, combed his hair, and kept his home tidy. He taught that spiritual purity begins with physical cleanliness, long before hygiene became a modern science. Fact 34, he warned against arrogance. Prophet Muhammad despised arrogance. He said, "He who has even a mustard seed of pride in his heart shall not enter paradise." He reminded the wealthy not to look down on the poor and the powerful not to oppress the weak. He taught that true greatness comes from humility, not from wealth, lineage, or titles. Fact 35. He loved perfume and pleasant scents. Among the things the Prophet cherished were prayer, women, in the sense of respect and love for family, and perfume. He frequently applied fragrance and encouraged others to do the same, especially on Fridays and before prayers. He said, "The angels are pleased by good scents." To him, smelling pleasant was a sign of good character and dignity. Fact 36. He made dua, supplication, constantly. For every moment in life, waking, sleeping, eating, traveling, sadness, or joy, Prophet Muhammad had a dua, prayer. He taught his followers to connect with Allah in all situations, not just during hardship. These beautiful supplications weren't just requests, they were moments of surrender, love, and closeness to the Creator. Fact 37. He slept on his right side. The Prophet recommended sleeping on the right side, a position later found by medical studies to aid digestion and heart function. He would say, "In your name, O Allah, I live and die," before sleeping. Even his resting habits were filled with spiritual mindfulness, turning ordinary moments into acts of worship. Fact 38. He was gentle with servants and workers. Whether someone served him food, cleaned his house, or worked beside him, the Prophet treated them with respect and kindness. Anas ibn Malik served him for 10 years and said, "Not once did he scold me or say, 'Why did you do this?'" In an age when servants were often mistreated, Muhammad uplifted them as equals in humanity. Fact 39. He established the rights of animals in worship. Even during religious rituals, the Prophet set limits to prevent animal cruelty. He instructed that sacrificial animals be well fed, not frightened, and killed swiftly with a sharp blade. He taught that showing mercy to animals during sacrifice was a reflection of one's piety and moral character. Fact 40. He inspired loyalty without force. Unlike tyrants and kings, Prophet Muhammad never demanded loyalty. He inspired it. His companions would sacrifice everything, not out of fear, but out of love and conviction. When asked why they loved him so much, one companion replied, "We had never known mercy until we met him." His leadership was not through power, but through love, integrity, and compassion. Fact 41. He never raised his voice in the marketplace. Despite being a leader, Prophet Muhammad walked among the people like one of them. In the markets of Medina, he never shouted, argued, or cheated. He greeted others with peace, smiled, and advised honesty. The Quran even praised this in Surah Al-Fath 48:29, describing him as firm against injustice, but gentle in character. His presence brought ethics into business and calm into chaos. Fact 42. He would lead by example, even in hard labor. The Prophet never stood apart when work needed to be done. During the building of the mosque in Medina, or during battles when trenches were dug, he joined his companions, lifting stones with dust on his clothes. He never ordered what he himself wouldn't do. Through action over authority, he taught that true leadership is service. Fact 43. He forbade torture, even to enemies. At a time when cruelty in war was common, Prophet Muhammad stood firm against it. He forbade torture, mutilation, and cruelty, even toward enemies and prisoners of war. He said, "Do not kill the old, the child, or the woman. Do not destroy trees or homes." His rules of engagement formed the ethical backbone of warfare in Islam. Fact 44. He changed the way the world saw orphans. He was an orphan, and he never forgot what that felt like. Prophet Muhammad constantly reminded his followers to care for orphans, calling it one of the greatest acts of mercy. He said, "I, and the one who cares for an orphan, will be together in paradise like these," holding his fingers close together. His own childhood pain became a pathway of compassion for others. Fact 45. He encouraged learning for men and women. The Prophet placed extraordinary value on seeking knowledge. He said, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim." He never limited it by gender. His own wife Aisha became one of the most prominent scholars of her time. He knew that a society cannot flourish without educated individuals, and he planted those seeds early in Islamic history. Fact 46. He was never ashamed to cry. In moments of grief, prayer, or compassion, the Prophet would cry openly. Whether mourning the death of his son, praying in the night, or feeling mercy for his people, tears flowed from his eyes. He taught that crying wasn't weakness, it was a sign of a soft, God-conscious heart. His vulnerability made him deeply relatable and deeply loved. Fact 47. He loved to serve guests personally. Even when he was the head of state, Prophet Muhammad would serve his guests himself. He offered them water, sat beside them, and listened intently. He said, "Whoever believes in Allah and the last day should honor his guest." Hospitality wasn't just a custom, it was a spiritual duty in his home. Fact 48. He chose mercy, even in victory. After years of persecution, when he re-entered Mecca as a victorious leader, the people feared revenge. Instead, he lowered his head in humility and forgave nearly everyone, including those who had harmed him personally. He recited the verse, "There is no blame upon you today. Allah will forgive you." Quran 12:92. His conquest became a moment of unprecedented mercy in history. Fact 49. He never abused power. Despite having the authority of both a prophet and a statesman, Muhammad never used power for personal gain. He never built a palace, demanded tribute, or sought luxury. He lived in a small, simple home, often going days without food. His only throne was his humility. His governance was guided by justice, ethics, and God consciousness. Fact 50. He is the most mentioned man on earth. Every day, over 1 billion Muslims mention his name in prayers, greetings, sermons, and blessings. His name, Muhammad, is recited in the Adhan, call to prayer, the Tashahhud, and countless supplications. Even in silence, hearts around the world echo with love for him. No man in history has been more remembered, honored, or followed. His legacy is truly eternal. Fact 51. He taught that intentions matter more than actions. The very first hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari begins with the Prophet's words, "Actions are judged by intentions." This one teaching revolutionized the way people viewed worship and deeds. He emphasized that what's in your heart matters more than appearances. A small act done with sincerity can outweigh a grand gesture done for show. Through this, he taught that purity of soul is greater than public praise. Fact 52. He loved the poor and preferred to live among them. The Prophet used to pray, "O Allah, let me live as a poor man, die as a poor man, and resurrect me among the poor." He felt most at home among the humble, the struggling, and the forgotten. He sat with them, ate with them, and reminded his followers that poverty is not a curse, but a test, and often a path to closeness with God. Fact 53. He often gave the best portions to others. Whether it was food, clothing, or gifts, Prophet Muhammad would always give the best to others and keep the simplest for himself. If there was one good piece of bread or meat, he gave it away. If there was something beautiful, he gifted it. He lived by the principle that true love is preferring others over oneself, even in the smallest things. Fact 54. He made people feel seen. The Prophet never overlooked anyone. Whether it was a child with a simple question, an elderly woman on the street, or a new Muslim struggling with faith, he listened, noticed, and uplifted. People said that when he looked at you, it felt like you were the only one in the room. His presence made others feel worthy, valued, and loved. Fact 55. He brought dignity to labor. He once kissed the hands of a man with rough skin from hard work and said, "These are hands loved by Allah." Prophet Muhammad taught that working with your hands, whether farming, crafting, or building, was honorable and blessed. He erased the stigma of lowly jobs and restored dignity to laborers, showing that honest work is a form of worship. Fact 56. He was the greatest advocate for justice. Whether it involved the rich, poor, Muslim, or non-Muslim, the Prophet stood for absolute justice. He said, "Even if my own daughter Fatima stole, I would apply the punishment to her." He judged by fairness, not favoritism. His commitment to justice, even against his own people, became the cornerstone of Islamic legal ethics. Fact 57. He valued silence and thoughtfulness. The Prophet spoke only when necessary, and when he did, his words were clear, concise, and full of meaning. He often paused before speaking, weighed his words, and encouraged others to think before they spoke. His companions said, his silence was longer than his speech. Through this, he taught that true wisdom often lies in restraint. Fact 58. He visited the sick, even if they opposed him. A Jewish boy once fell ill, and though his family opposed Islam, the Prophet visited him, sat beside him, and gently invited him to faith. The boy accepted Islam before passing away. He also visited Muslims and non-Muslims alike in their illness, offering prayers, hope, and compassion, reminding us that humanity transcends belief in moments of need. Fact 59. He encouraged optimism in every situation. The Prophet never gave in to despair, even in the darkest moments, like hiding in a cave with enemies nearby. He told Abu Bakr, "Do not be afraid. Allah is with us." He believed in hope, in divine wisdom, and in the resilience of the human heart. His optimism became a light that carried the early Muslims through immense trials. Fact 60. He continues to inspire hearts across centuries. Over 1,400 years have passed, yet the love for Prophet Muhammad only grows. People weep at the mention of his name, send blessings upon him daily, name their children after him, and model their lives on his teachings. His light did not fade with time. It grew brighter, crossing continents and generations, touching hearts of every race, color, and tongue. Fact 61. He considered modesty a branch of faith. The Prophet said, "Every religion has a characteristic, and the characteristic of Islam is modesty." But modesty to him wasn't just about clothing, it was about humility, avoiding arrogance, and lowering one's gaze from pride, not just from people. Whether walking, speaking, or interacting with others, he carried himself with grace, shyness, and quiet strength, inspiring others to do the same. Fact 62. He made time for solitude and reflection. Long before the Quran was revealed, Prophet Muhammad would retreat to Cave Hira for nights at a time. He would reflect on the universe, creation, and the meaning of life. Even during his busy prophetic mission, he sought solitude with Allah in the depths of the night. This love of spiritual retreat, itikaf, teaches us the power of silence, stillness, and connection to the divine. Fact 63. He called the Quran his eternal miracle. While many prophets were given physical miracles, like parting seas or healing the sick, Prophet Muhammad said, "The Quran is my miracle. It is a book of language, power, depth, and divine beauty, revealed over 23 years and still memorized, recited, and reflected on by millions. Its preservation and impact are unlike anything the world has ever seen. Fact 64. He was a refuge for the brokenhearted. People with shattered pasts, broken spirits, or painful wounds found comfort in his presence. Whether it was the poor widow, the grieving mother, the abandoned child, or the shamed sinner, he listened, forgave, encouraged, and prayed for them. He never turned anyone away. His heart was a shelter for souls in pain, and he offered healing through love, not judgment. Fact 65. He walked humbly on the earth. When he walked, he didn't stomp. He didn't strut. He walked quickly, with purpose, and his head slightly bowed, not out of weakness, but humility. The Quran even says, "And do not walk on the earth with arrogance." 1737. His footsteps carried mercy, and his presence softened even the hardest of hearts. Fact 66. He never took revenge for himself. In his entire life, the Prophet never sought personal revenge. Even when people insulted him, slandered his wife, or tried to kill him, he only responded when it concerned justice for others or the defense of the weak. His patience was legendary. He taught that forgiveness is better than retaliation, and that true strength lies in restraint. Fact 67. He honored his wives as teachers of the Ummah. Prophet Muhammad didn't just love his wives, he empowered them. Aisha, ERA, became one of the greatest scholars in Islamic history, narrating over 2,000 hadiths. He often told his followers to seek knowledge from her and never silenced her voice. He built marriages on mutual respect, affection, and spiritual partnership, a model still relevant today. Fact 68. He wept for his daughter Fatima. When Fatima would visit him, he would rise to greet her, kiss her, and seat her where he sat. During his final illness, he whispered something that made her cry, then something that made her smile. Later, she revealed, "He told me he would soon die, and I cried. Then he told me I would be the first to join him in paradise, and I smiled." Their bond was pure love and devotion. Fact 69. He warned against religious extremism. The Prophet warned his followers, "Beware of extremism in religion, for it destroyed those before you." He preached a path of balance, compassion, and mercy, not rigidness or harshness. His life was the middle way, teaching that faith is meant to ease burdens, not increase them, and that the best religion is one practiced with wisdom and care. Fact 70. He is described in the Quran as a mercy to the worlds. The most powerful description of him is in Surah Al-Anbiya 21:107. "And we have not sent you, O Muhammad, except as a mercy to the worlds." Not just to Muslims, not just to his time, but to all of creation, past, present, and future. His mercy touched the old and young, believer and stranger, animal and tree, enemy and friend. He wasn't just a messenger, he was a gift from God to all that exists. Fact 71. He began his mornings with praise and gratitude. Every day, Prophet Muhammad would awaken by praising Allah. He taught, "All praise is due to Allah who gave us life after death, sleep, and to him is the return." His mornings began not with haste or worry, but with mindful remembrance, setting the tone for a day filled with purpose and gratitude. In a fast-paced world, his example reminds us to begin each day with peace and connection. Fact 72. He respected other prophets deeply. The Prophet often spoke with reverence about Moses, Jesus, Abraham, Noah, and others. He emphasized that Muslims must believe in all previous messengers. He said, "Do not elevate me above Yunus, Jonah." His humility, even in prophethood, shows his deep solidarity with the line of messengers, confirming that Islam is not a new faith, but a continuation of divine guidance. Fact 73. He forbade cursing and harsh language. Though he faced ridicule and insult, Prophet Muhammad never responded with vulgarity. He said, "The believer is not a slanderer, nor does he curse, nor speak obscenely or abusively." His words were always measured, his tone always gentle. Even in disagreement, he taught dignity. His example invites us to elevate our speech and purify our hearts. Fact 74. He gave animals their rights, even in worship. During Hajj, the Prophet insisted that sacrificial animals be well fed, not mistreated, and slaughtered swiftly. He forbade branding animals on their faces or keeping birds in cages without reason. He said, "Whoever kills a sparrow for sport will answer to Allah." Long before animal welfare laws existed, he made compassion to all living creatures a mark of true faith. Fact 75. He was a source of strength for the oppressed. Slaves, the poor, and outcasts came to the Prophet because he didn't just preach equality, he lived it. Bilal, an African slave, became the first to call the Adhan. Salman the Persian, Suhaib the Roman, and others from different backgrounds were honored. He built a society where status came not from tribe or skin, but from piety and character. Fact 76. He was gracious, even with those who disagreed. When people debated with him or challenged him, the Prophet responded not with anger, but with calm and clarity. He often listened fully before answering. The Quran tells him, "Repel evil with what is better." 41:34. He showed that winning hearts is more powerful than winning arguments, and that truth doesn't need to shout to be heard. Fact 77. He used humor in a beautiful, respectful way. Though deeply serious when it came to matters of faith, the Prophet had a warm sense of humor. He joked with children, teased his wives gently, and made his companions laugh, never hurtfully, never falsely. He said, "I joke, but I speak only the truth." His humor was light, sincere, and full of love, showing that faith and joy go hand in hand. Fact 78. He taught that the best of people are those most beneficial to others. One of his most powerful sayings is, "The best of people are those who are most beneficial to others." This teaching shifts the focus from status or rituals alone to service, kindness, and contribution. He reminded us that faith is not just personal, but social. To serve others is to serve Allah. Fact 79. He prophesied events that later came true. Throughout his life, the Prophet made several predictions, from the conquest of Constantinople to the spread of Islam across the world, and even signs of the end times. Many of these were fulfilled in detail, strengthening the faith of those around him. But his purpose was never to amaze. It was to warn, guide, and prepare hearts for truth. Fact 80. He was a mercy, even to those who hated him. Perhaps the greatest proof of his prophethood is how he treated those who tried to kill him, slander him, or destroy him. He forgave Hind, who ordered the mutilation of his uncle. He forgave Washi, who killed that uncle. He forgave Abdullah ibn Ubay, the chief hypocrite. His mercy was not selective. It was divine, limitless, and breathtaking. Fact 81. He was the embodiment of patience. In the face of rejection, abuse, loss, and betrayal, Prophet Muhammad remained steadfast and calm. When his sons died, when his wife passed, when his companions were tortured, he grieved, yes, but he never lost faith. He said, "Patience is at the first strike of calamity." His life was filled with trials, yet he showed us how to bear pain with dignity and faith in Allah's plan. Fact 82. He loved sweetness, in food and in character. The Prophet enjoyed honey, dates, and sweet dishes, but he also loved sweetness in behavior. He admired gentle words, soft manners, and a kind disposition. He said, "Allah is gentle and loves gentleness in all matters." Just as sugar makes food more pleasant, his character taught us that gentleness makes life more beautiful. Fact 83. He was a champion of the oppressed, even before prophethood. Before receiving revelation, the Prophet joined a pact called Hilf al-Fudul, which aimed to protect the rights of the oppressed in Mecca. He later said, "If I were called to it today in Islam, I would accept it." His stand for justice wasn't limited by time or title. It was part of who he always was. Fact 84. He taught that the strongest person is the one who controls their anger. He once asked, "Do you know who is strong?" The companion said, "The one who defeats others in wrestling." The Prophet replied, No, the strong one is the one who controls himself when angry. He redirected the idea of strength from muscles to mastery of the self, showing us that inner power is greater than physical might. Fact 85. He was always the first to say salam. The Prophet never waited for others to greet him. He would always say, Assalamu alaikum first. He taught that giving salam brings love, removes arrogance, and builds community. He said, "Shall I not tell you something that will make you love one another? Spread salam among yourselves." Even in a simple greeting, he taught the power of connection and peace. Fact 86. He encouraged smiling even in sorrow. Once, a man asked the Prophet for advice. He replied, "Do not become angry." Another time he said, "Even a smile is charity." The Prophet smiled often, even when things were hard. His smile wasn't just a reflection of joy, it was a gift to others, a tool for healing, and a sign of unwavering trust in Allah's mercy. Fact 87. He listened more than he spoke. Though he was the wisest of men, the Prophet would listen deeply to those around him. Whether it was a child, a Bedouin, or a grieving parent, he gave them his full attention. He would face them fully, never interrupt, and always validate their feelings. His silence wasn't distance, it was presence. In a noisy world, he showed that listening is an act of love. Fact 88. He chose peace whenever possible. Though he led armies, Prophet Muhammad preferred peace. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah, which seemed unfavorable to Muslims at the time, was signed to avoid conflict. He said, "Do not wish to meet the enemy, but if you do, stand firm." He fought only when absolutely necessary and always for justice. His goal wasn't conquest, it was peace with honor. Fact 89. He taught that all creation is sacred. The Prophet once said, "There is a reward for serving any living being." He forbade unnecessary killing, wastefulness, and pollution. He even told his followers to be gentle with the earth, to protect greenery, and to value every form of life. To him, the world was a trust from God, not a possession, and treating it with care was a form of worship. Fact 90. He gave hope until his final breath. Even in his last days, as his body weakened, the Prophet still led prayers, still smiled, still reminded his people to pray, treat others well, and stay united. He told Fatima not to cry. He told his people that they would meet again at the fountain of Al-Kawthar. His final words were a prayer to Allah, leaving behind hope, light, and love for every soul that would come after. Fact 91. He made his final pilgrimage a global message. In the year 10 AH, the Prophet made his farewell pilgrimage accompanied by over 100,000 followers. There, he delivered his final sermon, which became a timeless message of equality, justice, and unity. He reminded people that no Arab is superior to a non-Arab and no white to a black, that women are to be honored, and that blood and property are sacred. This speech echoed through history as a divine declaration of human rights. Fact 92. He taught that the best among us are those who improve themselves. The Prophet once said, "The strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, though there is good in both." Strength here meant not just physical power, but faith, discipline, and striving for excellence. He reminded us that Islam calls for constant growth, inside and out, to be better today than we were yesterday. Fact 93. He was buried in the room of his beloved wife. After his passing, the Prophet was buried in Aisha's room, the very place where he took his final breath, resting his head on her lap. Today, that room lies beneath the green dome of Masjid an-Nabawi in Medina. Visitors from all over the world send prayers and peace to the man who still lives in their hearts, a presence beyond the grave. Fact 94. His influence reached every continent. Though he never left the Arabian Peninsula during his mission, today, his message is recited on every continent, in every language. His name is whispered in jungles, deserts, cities, and mountains. From Indonesia to Iceland, Senegal to Sarajevo, the love for him crosses all borders, uniting the hearts of over 1 billion believers. Fact 95. he taught the power of sincere repentance. The prophet once said, "Every son of Adam sins, and the best of those who sin are those who repent." He didn't demand perfection. He taught honesty, humility, and returning to Allah again and again. He said that if we turn to God sincerely, even if our sins reach the skies, Allah's mercy would reach further. Fact 96. He knew that hearts needed rest. Prophet Muhammad once said, "There is a Polish for everything, and the Polish for the heart is the remembrance of Allah." He taught that just as the body needs rest and food, the heart needs dhikr, remembrance, reflection, and time away from noise. His way wasn't just spiritual, it was soul care. Fact 97. He cared for new Muslims tenderly. New Muslims who had just embraced the faith were given special attention and support. He helped them feel welcomed, answered their questions with patience, and never expected perfection. He understood their struggles and protected them from judgment. His compassion helped them blossom in faith and gave generations to come a model of gentle guidance. Fact 98. He left behind a living sunnah. The Prophet didn't leave behind wealth, gold, or palaces. He left behind a living tradition, sunnah, a way of life. From how to eat, sleep, pray, treat others, to how to heal the soul, his sunnah is a blueprint for spiritual and emotional health. It's not frozen in the past. It lives in every Muslim who follows his path today. Fact 99. He changed the world without an army or empire. While kings ruled by sword and force, Prophet Muhammad changed hearts with character, patience, and divine revelation. He began as a shepherd, rose as a leader, and passed as a beloved prophet whose legacy still grows. He didn't need palaces to be remembered. His throne was the heart, and his army was faith, love, and mercy. Fact 100. He will intercede for his people on the day of judgment. On the most terrifying day, when every soul will tremble, Prophet Muhammad will fall in prostration before Allah and intercede for his ummah. He will say, "My nation, my nation." His love didn't end with his death. It continues into the hereafter, and he promised, "Every one of my followers will enter paradise, except those who refuse." When asked who would refuse, he said, "Whoever obeys me enters paradise. Whoever disobeys me has refused." And so ends this journey, not of words, but of the heart. 100 facts, yet we've only touched the surface. Because Prophet Muhammad is not just a name in history. He is a living light in the hearts of the faithful. The more you learn about him, the more you love him. And the more you love him, the more you see the world through mercy, truth, and divine beauty. May peace and blessings forever be upon him.